Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto anime review. This one's going to be for episode 172, which is called A Signature of Fear. And overall this was an okay episode. I thought it was, fun and enjoyable, given that it was more on the filler end of things compared to what we've been doing up to now with the important training focused episodes. This attempted to sort of be on task by, in the end, Iwabe, Denki, and Metal get an update on Mitsuki that he's going to be okay from Orochimaru. But that was it, a very minor connection in with the overall plot. Otherwise, their whole plot is completely separate than anything else going on. And it's not entirely important. Like, their development of not really being scared anymore is very, very minor compared to the training Team 7 are undergoing, and the fact that Team Shikacho was involved, in the fight with Deepa as well. And so, off screen, I suppose they're doing training also. This did not bring this team up to that level, given that we're sort of in a training arc. It really didn't feel like we made much progress with this team. That's about the only thing that I'd say. I think they could have done this in a way where you actually developed them and had them undergo a little bit of training also. To coincide with the fact that all the other genin are kind of doing their training. But it does feel to a degree like this is the commitment to, this isn't one of the two important teams, so you're not going to see anything particularly important. So this is a role that they play. This is going to be the, when we need to fill out some time, fill in an episode, bring one of the other teams in. And it's fun to get development time with them, but they're never going to do anything particularly important. And it just doesn't bode particularly well for, I suppose, maybe where this team is going forward. Just because the little action sequence we got with Suigetsu was sort of nice in that they used a little bit of tactics, but ultimately, even though Suigetsu is weak to electricity, the electricity to power machinery isn't going to be enough to take him out. So it was nice that they, got going and, had some fight back against Suigetsu, but in the end, their level was made very, very clear. And I don't know, maybe after this, seeing the Gulfin class will be what prompts them to do their training. But, we have to wait and see. The episode wasn't really, I think, trying to make that point necessarily to them. It seemed like they were relatively happy to just get through this and not be terrified in the process. Obviously, the whole setup for this episode is that they go to visit Boruto in hospital. Boruto's exhausted. He's used all his chakra after the fight with Chojoji and all the training. He's not waking up because he's completely out. So one of the other patients is this boy who's about to have surgery, and he's playing pranks all over the place to sort of distract from the fact that he has to have this surgery the following day and is trying to put it off as much as possible. But he sort of criticizes Iwabe's team for being sort of not good and scared and stuff like that, kind of like he is, and so he tasks them with, get me the autograph of my favorite, my best card, and that is Orochimaru. And so the whole gimmick of this episode is that this is such an odd meeting of characters that this team is going to have to meet Orochimaru, the guy responsible for so much of the villainous stuff, the sort of brutal human experimentation stuff. He is going to encounter Iwabe, Denki, and Metal, kind of one of the more oddball teams in the Leaf Village. And you're like, okay, it's going to be fun when they interact, but they're not really doing much here. I like that they go in, Denki hacks Naruto's computer to find out the location of Orochimaru, but they also find out more of the truth about exactly what he's done. So they go in even more scared because they know now even the restricted stuff about him. But they further set this up with the fact that even the kind of guard outside, I guess he's a Jonin, is yeah, only Yamato is like willing to talk to Orochimaru one-on-one and doesn't get scared around him. You can go in to talk to him, but it's on you to be on guard going in there. So there's a bunch of like further setups for why they should be super scared around Orochimaru, but once they get in there, of course, they have the whole incident with Suigetsu, but then Orochimaru just walks into the room, stops the fight, and I suppose the highlight of the episode in a way from a comedic point of view is like, I don't know why you're here, but I guess that means you're courageous despite your low power level. Why have you come? And he thinks it's something like really important, really interesting that he's going to find out. And so when they're like, he's like, and he thinks it's going to be like, they're going to say something important, and he's just like, autograph. And he's like, what? And he signs it, gives it back to them, and his response was more like, wow, I'm not particularly happy with the way I'm being portrayed on this card than anything else. So that was kind of fun to just see him actually have a little bit of a reaction to his own card in the game. But yeah, he signs it, and then right as he's about to leave, they ask, is Mitsuki alright? And so the kind of important bit of this interaction is him saying, he's undergoing like critical treatment, but I can assure you he is going to be alright. And then as Orochimaru is walking away on his own, we get his sort of thoughts of like, oh, he has made more friends other than Boruto, and he's kind of happy about that, highlighting the sort of Orochimaru the father actually be caring about Mitsuki dynamic, which is always nice to see. But we didn't actually like go to Mitsuki to like cover what's going on with him. We still have to wait on that. And they've kept us waiting for quite a while. Like, we really haven't had that many updates on Mitsuki, and we're going to have to get going with him, because I suppose he's going to have to do training of his own, and it'll be interesting to see what that is. But arguably the most important section of this episode is the stuff that happens right towards the end, that Boruto does wake up, Kakashi's there in his room, and he gets a similar advice to Naruto with the Rasen Shuriken of like, Naruto was like told, no, you can't use this jutsu, you'll damage your arm. Boruto is being told here, you shouldn't use this jutsu regularly. Like, as in, yeah, you can use it, but it should only be in like key moments. So not quite as extreme as Naruto with the Rasen Shuriken, but getting to that level. So after all of this progress, it does feel like, oh, he now has this sort of double-edged sword of a jutsu. Are we happy with that? Especially given that we're going to now be putting Boruto and Sarada in a location relatively nearby where Konohamaru and Mugino are. So they're going to be there and thereabouts to get involved with Deepa again. But it doesn't quite feel like they're ready. Like, I guess Boruto will maybe be slightly more powerful, fully rested and healed. Have a better sense for like using the jutsu now that he's used it in battle before. Sarada, I'm guessing, has done even more training off screen. She basically said that and that it's going well, but she didn't confirm to us that like, I have the second tomo of my Sharingan or anything like that. I don't know if they're even going to commit to that yet. So I guess when they get involved in the fight again, they're either going to reveal that or it's going to happen to her in the middle of the fight. But I don't know if I'd go as far as to say like it feels like the characters are sort of ready to go. That their training up to now is going to be good enough for them to, do some damage to Deepa just yet. But it feels like we're getting to that point where the rematch is about to happen. Otherwise, this arc is going to be like incredibly long before we get into the next manga content arc. So the setup for why they're leaving the village now is that Boruto has permission from Naruto to bring the ring back to Miss Mia, who obviously we've met a bunch of episodes ago, more towards the start of this arc. And her husband was, I suppose, killed. They had to fight him because he was possessed by the Hashirama cell. So I guess they're going to have to reveal that news to her, which could be a kind of pretty sad moment. But the main thing is that it puts Boruto and Sarada in the general vicinity of Victor's company and puts them into play at the very least. We do get a brief Victor and Deepa scene where, it's just highlighting their kind of banter back and forth. Deepa just walks through walls, whereas Victor's more like, we have to be on the down low here. You can't just go walking through walls like this. The feudal lord of the Land of Fire is coming for an inspection on the facility, and Konohamaru and Mugino, who have infiltrated inside, are going to use this inspection as the opportunity to find out basically what's the secret here. What is the Hashirama cell being used for? What is this big research project that Victor is kind of committing so much resources towards? This is what we've been waiting for quite a while now, is just, okay, we know the Hashirama cell is important, it's powerful, but what exactly are you using it for? What we've been led to believe up to now is like, okay, for some sort of medical use, I guess, to potentially restore limbs is kind of the direction that they're going in. But that doesn't seem like a massive reveal that, like, we need to report this back to the village. So what's the big twist going to be? And I'm guessing next week's episode is going to end with the sort of cliffhanger of, this is what he's up to, this is big news, we need to get this right back to the village, and I guess some fights will start and break out from there. So yeah, they did a decent amount towards the end to set up the next episode to get us back on track, but it did also highlight that, yeah, the main body of this episode with, Denki, Uabe and Metal was rather light. I appreciate, just getting to see them interact, their fear, the comedic just dynamic of them interacting with Orochimaru, just like it seems like such a weird dynamic to have, and it worked. Like I think they probably could have done it like a little bit quicker and kept the overall episode a bit more focused, and I think overall maybe just if the episode had a little bit more to offer with regard to development for those characters, rather than just they got over their initial fear as the development for those characters, that's their training arc to a degree. But hopefully they do some sort of follow-up where we cover the idea that it's not just like Team Inoshika Cho and Team 7 that are training, but all the Genin are training, inspired by, I guess Boruto and Sarada primarily. That's kind of what we want to see. I guess they're going to have to kind of, fully bring back that information to everyone and like confirm that, oh yeah, Mitsuki is going to be okay, but we'll see exactly how it plays out. So yeah, they're my thoughts on the episode. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were, but that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.